What's your worst trauma? Because I want to trauma bond with you.
I had the pleasure of going to Gen Con, and I got to ask a few people what their crazy convention stories were. And these are some of the highlights.
So today at my booth, I had someone come up to me and ask me for my number. I had them roll for it, and they rolled a 1. It's a nat 20, obviously required.
A friend of mine brought a really bad bag of stuff and decides to do it all right there and then, and it was cut with the most ridiculous ingredients, and he was sick as a dog. He was almost dead. We had to throw him in a bathtub and try and keep him cold. We were up every hour on the hour trying to check up on him, do it in shifts.
If you're all right, then say something.
Something.
And then when we were all drained, tired, and absolutely dead from the next day, he just got up and like nothing ever happened.
And did you still cosplay the next day? Did you still do the convention?
We still went to the convention and we still cosplay the next day.
I'm sure he looked great during it.
No.
No.
No, I'm not going to give him that satisfaction.
My crazy con story is that I used that restroom over there in the corner a couple hours ago and found a handprint smeared halfway down the wall of the stall. Which is the second worst thing this year after how much space Disney's taking up.
And he's definitely not kidding. This is the line for the new Lorcana card game that was coming out right around the time of Gen Con, and it's just endless. It went all the way around the block at some points. It was just packing the halls and people were just swarming. It was absolutely nuts. But if you want to guess as to how long people were actually waiting for this, just let me know in the comments. One of these is the right answer. I'll let you know in just a second once we get anywhere close to this line, because it just kept going, even beyond where I was recording. It just never ended. But if you guessed this, you were right.
I did have someone last PAX U, if you're familiar with it, which we'll both be there this year too. They were someone who had been following me online for a while, and they met me in person. They recognized me right away, and they were very nice at first. And then they asked me maybe the wildest question I've ever been asked, which is, what's your worst trauma? Because I want to trauma bond with you. That's how I bond with people. And it felt so strange to me.
That
and
is
I was
very
like, that is really, really out of left field.
Yeah.
They'd like, oh, I just got you like a set of dice. And also, I want to know what the worst part of your life has been.
Partner and I decided that we were going to go to the Dub That Hentai. And thankfully, the people around us were drunk enough to like me. And so they went crazy, and they pointed me out to one of the hosts. And so I had to viciously describe expelling a demon from a woman as the power of compelled that demon to leave. And for this amazing performance, I received a extra large Bad Dragon tentacle.
Yeah, so years ago, ex-girlfriend of mine made a bet to cosplay. If one of us lost, we had to dress as Slave Leia Metal Bikini outfit. Well, lo and behold, to my excitement, we both lost, so we both wore the outfit, carried around a sign that said, you know, who wore it best, had our Instagrams on it. And the convention was very accepting of it. They were great. It was fun until I went to one of the restrooms, and a patron was not as okay with it and decided to try to have an altercation, trying to leave it alone. Someone got the convention security. They came and they handled it very quickly. And then the people at the convention also were like, no, this guy, you know, the ginger guy didn't do anything. It was all him. And the con apologized profusely, and I told him it wasn't necessary. And yeah, but I've never met a more accepting group of people probably in my life.
So who did wear it best?
Oh, I did.
Oh,
1,000% I did.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful picture of me on my Facebook of me standing out there and the wind caught my flaps, and I'm just like looking down in this beautiful, stupid pose, and it's me just in Star Wars boxers, and yeah.
So, wake up Saturday morning trying to find my buddy.
Steve.
Actually, no names, please. Someone else, right? And I couldn't get a hold of him. Like, where's he at? Like, everyone's looking for him. And he just shows up all of a sudden. He tells us a wild tale. You know, our buddy here, he's always looking for love in all the wrong places, and he got hungry one night, so he went to the White Castle just right down the street. The thing is, he didn't have a car, and the only thing open was the drive-thru. So he was stuck, right? But it just so happened to be that he found some people willing to allow them to come into his car, right? So he enters the vehicle, and this is all hearsay, right? But, you know, I'm telling you, I think this story is the best story ever. Enters the vehicle, and, you know, they get to White Castle, and then, you know, they go for a little ride or whatever, right? And then they say, hey, man, you know, you down to do some business? And he's like, what kind of business or whatever? They fleece him, they take his clothes off of him, and leave him abandoned naked. This is no lie, like 4 exits down, off on 65. This is nuts, right? So I ended up being, got some help, came back or whatever, but just so happens to be, like, you know, took all of his cards and everything, but, you know, it was such a great community. This Super Show community, they helped him out, like, rebuild his whole collection, and now, you know, he's still hanging around, so that's the wildest con story I know.
I posted a tweet saying I knew Erika Ishii was going to be performing at a one-shot, and I posted a tweet out, and I was like, hey, my dream, it would make my year if I could meet Erika Ishii. And Erika, within 20 minutes, messaged back and said, yeah, come talk to me after the panel's over, after the one-shot's over. So they jumped off the stage after they recognized me from my profile picture, and we went off to the side and filmed a couple quick TikToks, did the podcast. And I definitely didn't cry because they are my inspiration in the TTRPG scene. That was cool.
At that same event, I'm very cool whenever I'm meeting anybody who I like admire. But Persephone Valentine, if you know her, I fainted in front of her. I didn't expect it, and my knees
their knees went weak. Their knees went very weak.
It was very embarrassing. I was so calm the rest of the time, and then I was like, "Are you?" And it's worth it. She's amazing.
It made me so happy. Like. It was so good.
I was cosplaying as Chocola from Nicopara. I had a guy come over to me and said, oh, Chocola, I really love your cafe. And I was like, oh, thanks. And he asked if he could buy my shoes.
There's a kink for everybody. Yeah. Nobody's ever offered to buy my shoes. So.
I know, give me some money on the costume.
Yeah.
I'll give you $2 for them.
I was over at the Beetle and Grimm booth, and Matthew Lillard happened to be there. And he looks down, and there's a granola bar, a Cliff Bar, and he says to this guy that I'm talking to, because I'm asking some questions, and the guy's like, no, that's not mine. And this girl who's behind the booth, also running the Beetle and Grimm, says, it's yours, you f***. And Matthew looks and is like, oh, I'm gonna eat the shit out of this. And then he just walks away and starts eating the Cliff Bar. Shaggy said what kind of thing?
How that tastes, man? Delicious.
So have y'all ever heard of Dragon Con?
Yeah.
So down there one time, we were sitting in our booth, and all of a sudden behind us we hear security, right? We're like, okay, whatever. A few minutes later, security. 3 minutes later after that, security again. Then all of a sudden people rush over there, and guess what had happened? Someone had snuck a gun into it. A real live gun.
Like as a cosplay, and they were trying to play it off?
We never really found out how it was, but what happened, there was an altercation between the vendor and the person, and they pulled the gun on him.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Thanks to the patrons for making this possible. I will be posting more Gen Con videos in the very near future, including some behind the scenes things just for Patreon, but I especially wanted to thank Halfstorm, Godzilla Khan, Mugen, Elisa Martinez, Anthony McDonald, Panda Milkshake, Alistar Nix, Ted Z, Andrew Nobles, Karket Kitsune Z13, Viral Naravar, Kesta, the Dino 21, Chris Moke, and Benjamin, as well as the patrons that I actually play D&D with, Shane Gilroy, Daniel Sweeten, Conman ZX, Cyberciety, Talon Starkey, Braden Aldridge, Daniel Galvin, Michael, Eric Wade, Salvador, Devin Happy, and Kilo Kilo. Then going above and beyond that is my God tier level patron who helps me even more and definitely made this trip very possible, and that's GameStake. If you have some crazy Gen Con stories, let me know in the comments down below, and as always, just for watching any of my videos, I hope you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session.